that vote buying, if not addressed, could imperil our democracy. And stakeholders need to consider this electoral corruption in the highest respect. And institutions like the EFCC and the ICPC, who are involved in election day monitoring, need to scale. And as an institution, we would like to see people prosecuted, for engaging both in the buying and in the selling of votes. So our position is, this is electoral corruption. It undermines democracy, and the institutions should take action. We note that, yes, the EFCC has been part of elections, and they try to monitor the process. Recently, both the ICPC and EFCC were in a meeting, and they have a consensus on how to manage this. We wait to see the action that will be taken from this election. But it's not just these institutions. The security agencies, the police, also has a role to play. In most cases, this transaction is conducted in the full glare of police officers who do not reprimand, those actors. In some cases, they are also participants as well. And we feel that as an institution, going into this election, one way to boost the confidence of the public and stakeholders in the electoral process is to ensure that these institutions perform their role. So the point about redesigning the polling units, we support INEC's resolution to redesign the polling units. There are limitations because it's not just redesigning polling units to safeguard the security and the privacy of the votes. It's also redesigning polling units to provide accessibility, for persons living with disability. So going into, subsequent elections, it's important that this is considered. So that's our institutional position. YIAGA Africa applauds the decision of INEC to refrain from storing sensitive materials at the Central Bank of Nigeria due to the allegations of partisanship leveled against the governor of the central bank. This shift in the protocol for managing deployment of sensitive materials places a huge responsibility on INEC to ensure safety and security of sensitive materials, as well as their timely deployment, to local government and registration centers. Key stakeholders and members of the public should be adequately informed of INEC's new strategy for the deployment of sensitive materials. And so we would all be watching, and we're enjoying you, to also keep watch over this process. But we want to assure the Nigerian people, and particularly the people of Ekiti State, that we will make public all our observations from this process and provide a very objective assessment of the technology, because it's crucial for the process, given the legality conferred on the device by the provisions of the Electoral Act on the electronic accreditation of voters, as well as the electronic transmission of results.
From a YIAGA Africa perspective, the forthcoming June 18th governorship election presents an opportunity to assess the operational implications of specific provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 and the newly issued Independent National Electoral Commission guidelines. The commitment of key election stakeholders such as INEC and security agencies to credible and non-violent free election will also be tested in this election. Based on these commitments made by INEC and security agencies, YIAGA Africa expectation is that this election should not be defined by the perennial challenges of election logistics, technological failures, inconsistent application of electoral laws and guidelines, electoral violence, and vote buying. These challenges in previous elections have undermined public confidence in the electoral process and raised questions about the gains achieved in Nigeria's 23 years of democratic journey. Thugs unleashed violence and inflicted injuries on people using machetes and stones. In addition, a gun duel between thugs linked to the APC and SDP was reported in Old Garage in Ado-Ekiti.
For the Ekiti elections, YIAGA Africa is deploying its parallel vote tabulation (PVT) methodology for the Saturday's elections. The PVT is an advanced election day observation methodology that employs well-established statistical principles and sophisticated information technologies in providing timely and accurate information on the conduct of accreditation, voting and counting, and it independently verifies the official governorship results as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. YIAGA Africa will deploy 500 stationary observers to representative statistical sample of 250 polling units and 25 mobile observers located in all 16 LGAs of Ekiti State. YIAGA Africa would also deploy 16 result collation observers to the LGA result collation centers. The sampled polling unit is determined by established statistical principles to ensure the resulting information is representative of the state and unbiased. The PVT sample of polling units was drawn according to well-established statistical principles and is truly representative of all polling units because the percentage of the sampled polling units for each LGA is similar to the percentage of all polling units for each LGA. So, over the course of Elections Day, YIAGA Africa's data center in Ekiti will receive 4,500 text messages containing approximately 60,500 individual pieces of information about the 2022 Ekiti governorship elections. Now, on Elections Day, text messages will be received at this data center from our observers deployed across the polling units. These messages will be processed and reviewed to ensure the information is complete, authentic, and accurate.